Welcome to LARP Chats. I'm your host, Baelnorn, and today we have Darb. So Darb, how long have you been playing Amtgard?
I've been playing Amgard for, I'd say, more the majority of my life. When I was very young, I never was tracked on a sign-in, but I'd probably say as early as 2002.
Oh, wow. That's wild.
Yeah, so for people, of course, that know me, it's probably around 6-7 years old. And then more recently, there was a phase where the Amgard in my area died out, and then I became active again probably in 2015 or so.
So where did you hear about Amgard as a young child?
Actually, it was my older brother who did it at the time. In Dallas is where the park was. Vale actually was the only people I recognized from from that time. Vale and my brother both went to high school together. And so I got to watch their park kind of develop for a little bit. And then by the time I was in middle school, high school, and old enough to play, there wasn't a thing anymore.
Oh.
So
that makes it hard to come back.
Exactly. So then hearing about it through the grapevine, I actually tried to start a project of my own to rebuild the park when I was in high school, and that failed terribly. Dust Call it as you know it is the second time around at that. So
I think it worked out a little bit better this time.
Correct, as the evidence of the environment we're in, I would say.
Did you actually, when you were a child, go to the park with your brother?
Yeah, just the local park. I mean, I heard stories about campouts and things, but never went to any of those personally. So just anything local at the park, not too far from where we lived. So.
Do you have any early memories from when you were a child hanging around Amgarders?
It's hard to say. That might have been like the end of V6 or V7, but just kind of like trying to understand the abilities and how they worked, Like whenever you tell anybody about this game, you're like, how does magic work? And you're like, all right, well, it's a little bit of a breather. But I would say I just really like the crafting part. Back then, our equipment probably wasn't as safe as it should be as it is now. A lot of bamboo and stuff was used in the early parts. So just the crafting, I would say, was the thing that stuck out to me. And then like magic was really off-putting because it had like a lot of ropes for like area determinants for areas of things.
Oh yeah,
I didn't like that. But yeah, and then I also thought just the rule set was very very unfriendly to new players. The shattering system,
Oh yeah, I mean, V6, 7, 5-minute wait time.
5-minute wait time, die in a minute, and then as soon as you shattered, you let everyone else play for another half an hour. So.
And do you remember Petrify?
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of.
If there wasn't a healer on the other team, you're just out of the game.
Yep.
It's ridiculous. Well, I'm glad that you came back for V8.
Yes.
So what was some of your first memories when you came back as an adult?
Well, also the kind of cool thing was, again, like having that failed project in early high school, middle school, I already built up like a friend group that kind of liked it. So we were able to kind of come in all together. And kind of funny enough, like I was unemployed at the time, but I was the only one of my friends with a car. So we all had to like carpool from Dallas to Salem on repeat and like pitch in for gas. That was just really fun. And then just kind of be able to hang out and have something to do together, if that meant a craft night or something, just so everyone can get their first swords, which led to their first orders. That was definitely, just early memories that were exciting. And then I remember vaguely too, in my high school project, one of the only returning players from Silverman I remember at that time was Tord. So our first day back, like, hey, I think I know that guy. So that was a little easier to integrate back into it, I think.
Is it safe to say that some of the reasons you stuck around when you first came back was community?
Absolutely, yeah. Silverman was very inviting. It was a large upsurge of your guys' attendance at the time from what I understand.
Yeah.
So that brought fighters like Indra, that brought Sploob, that brought Kang. Just a real big boost to vitalization. They can kind of swing into Barony and now Duchy. So
yeah, it was a big uptick.
Yeah.
So, is there anything that sticks out to you, other than the community, like about the game that you first really enjoyed, that you had to continue playing the game?
Sure. Just connections. Honestly, I think it's so cool. I think a lot of people are just kind of connected, with their friends locally, usually in towns, from high school or something. And it kind of grows a little bit, when you start to have people move away and stuff. But going to different Amgard, parks, events and stuff, now we know people all the way from like Eugene all the way up into Washington, some into Canada.
Oh, yeah.
So just kind of like that branching has been really cool. And another really big thing is just kind of fitness. Just having an active way of exercise and letting people, get out of the house. Video games are cool and I enjoy it and it's good in doses. But, swing and stick gets your heart beating, it gets you sweating.
Yeah.
I would say prior to Amgard, probably like maybe a year or so, I was like 380 pounds. By the time I started Amgard in the first 6 months, I went down a lot.
Nice.
And then today I'm at like 240 pounds. So like my lifestyle has gotten, I would say, a lot better.
Yeah, it's still
a lot of vitality.
for sure.
So.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad Amgard could do that for you.
Yeah.
When you first started playing, both when you were a kid and when you came back as an adult, and I think I already know the answer to this, but what really excited you about Amtgard? Was it just the community, or?
Kinda, yeah. I mean, like always the idea of sword fighting, I mean, or high-speed game of a foam tag, has just always been kind of fun. And I don't know, I just had very competitive friends, especially like Hyde was a big one in that, just always trying to be better. Like even after our attempt at high school failed, he was the one that like always wanted to fight, he was just really into it. And then I guess another thing that kind of kept me around was just the things after park, being able to go get dinner with people, or crafting events, or even I would just say, especially taking a leadership role. When I've had people reach out to me, just not even related to Amgard. It could be like, just, hey, this kind of happened to me. I'm like, oh, sick, thanks for sharing that with me. Or if they were kind of in a darker place, hey, I got all this going on, I'm like, hey, I just kind of want to be a friend and reach out. And part of that's kind of stressful. I'm not going to lie when that first message hits. But also, that's kind of when I started Dusk Hollow, one of the reasons for it, As cool as the game is, having a place where people can be accepted and play this game. And I've had, students that were in high school, like, I don't even want to go to prom because it's kind of lame in my opinion. But I want to do this instead. I'm like, that's kind of surreal, but I'm glad you feel welcome here like that. So I would say, that kind of feeling has just been probably one of the reasons I've kept it around so long.
That's a really sweet feeling. I'm glad that the club provides that.
Yeah, I was surprised.
Not everyone picks up on that.
Yeah.
Especially doing leadership stuff like you do, you get a chance to be more involved with the community and gives you a chance to experience that more, I think.
Yeah. Good and bad.
Good and bad. We try to think more about the good if we can.
Yeah.
So, talked about your first time in Amtgard and stuff like that, but what about your first camp out?
First camp out, yeah. So again, when I was younger, I never went to any campouts. My first camp out was actually Shattered Kingdoms, the second year, which was Octavian expansion?
Yep.
Yes, I nailed
Octavian expanse.
Yeah. And I was the only one in my friend group to go, which, everything surprising, with, me being like, hey, let's all go do this all the time. I was kind of going by myself. That was interesting, kind of solo adventure, but kind of got me out of my shell. And I think there were elements to it, that the quests were designed that I still felt like I wasn't the max level, but I was able to play a part in certain things. So that was really exciting. And then afterwards, I was able to tell my friends, like, hey, you got to come next year, all right? These things are worth it, when you first hear about you spending, $30-$40 a weekend, when, you're a broke college kid, you're like, I don't know, but it's worth it. It's a lot of fun. A lot of packed into the days for sure. And I'd say they've only gone up since then. So I
think one of my fondest memories of you was actually from that camp out, the door. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
The very, very intense ritual, the puzzle that no one could solve. I don't even want to say, it was a long time for us to solve it, I'll say, and I was just kind of quiet and kind of nervous since I was a new guy. But I remember we were going into, I think it was Xena's tower, the wizard of the area, and they were clearly stuck in some type of time trap or of some sort. And we pretty much just had to figure out, how to undo it, and we tried all sorts of things. And I think my favorite was the summon corpse one, where they started to fall apart very quickly, and we panically put him back. It was more like a D&D setting. And then I was like, hey, how don't we just finish closing the door that seems almost closed? And let's kind of see where that goes, because I'm out of ideas. And that worked. And they're like, oh, I'm like, haha. But that was literally like supposed to play a part in the battle game going on in the background, but we literally took so long it didn't. So
No, the battle game was over by
yeah. And I got some kind of divine favor that I never cashed in on, so that was a good call.
Well, technically, it still exists.
Maybe. If Xena shows up in the next part of the lore, we'll see.
What are some of your favorite memories from Capouts?
Campouts. One of my favorite ones. This is kind of. I don't want to say the person's name.
Wow, that's fair.
Because it's kind of bad on them. But I just remember that Dusk Hollow is kind of like an up and coming park, and Arcana too. And then for people that don't know me, I'm also the captain of Arcana and the founder of Dusk Hollow. And someone came up to me and was like, "Have you heard of Dusk Hollow?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I've heard of them." And then we were also going into our championship round of the Phoenix League tournament. And then they also were like, "Have you heard of Arcana?" And I'm like, "Yep, I've heard of that too." So just one of those moments of like, it's kind of cool we're on the uprise, but people still know who I am. So it's just kind of a weird feeling. All
the things that you made were famous, but not you.
Exactly. One of my also favorite moments was another one of our House Gravy members came up to me during one of the matches of the Phoenix League, and they said, "Hey, Dark Angel, I didn't know you were from Silver Moon." And I was like, "There's so many things wrong with what you just said. I don't know how to address it." No, but I would say also my first pack war was the one up in Longview.
Oh yeah.
With the horse arena, that was like the Northern Lights and Blackspire or combined one. And that was intense. Just that renting out that whole like a horse arena,
Yeah, it was.
And like the amount of people that showed up, it was just like a dust field, and no matter how many people you killed, it didn't feel like it impacted the game somehow.
Yeah, it was a lot of people.
Yeah, so that was crazy, and all the things that kind of went on. Of course, another memory is at one of the last Winter Bashes when Master Kai kidnapped everyone into her dance ritual for hours and hours. Just don't walk by if you hear music. That's all I'm going to say on that.
By the way, if you check out my YouTube channel, you'll see some stuff from the masquerade party that he's talking about, especially the dance ritual.
Yeah, the conga line, I think.
Conga line,
yeah. That's good. Kind of the knighting ceremonies have bin really cool. Calzar's, of course, was my favorite. Very, very kind of intimate, I would say, more than the other ones I've seen so far. My Lord title was pretty cool. It was very. I think the thing that made it really cool was that Critias also got into his Paragon Monk right after.
Oh.
So that was kind of more of a cheery moment for all of us. And I think the favorite part about that too was literally the day he was getting his award in the morning. He was like, "I'm not going to play this class anymore. It's never happening." And we, like, most of us knew about it already. We were like, "Don't quit, buddy." So it was very, very cool and very touching for him. So I'd probably say those are all very good.
Very sweet.
Movies. Yeah.
So what was the first thing that you were proud of that you did in Amgard?
I'd probably say founding Dusk Hollow. We had a lot of resistance, I would say, starting it. Of course, I think that had part to do with how many times it's been tried before. Of course, saying this is my second time, that wasn't too surprising. And people, of course, pretty much said, it would only last 2 years. And I was like, all right, then let's say this. If I can get it to last at least 2 years, then we'll apply to be a park. And it lasted that long, and I think we're 3-4 years counting Corona time.
Oh, yeah.
So
it's pretty
well established by this point. To the point that I don't even have to worry about an office as people are stepping up in the leadership and even greater things. And also, like, way before even we got to this far, I remember just like the idea of bringing people into the game was kind of surreal.
Yeah.
And at that time, we had what was called the Darblings.
Oh yes.
Which was made up of Wrath, Fry, and Dizette. And I remember I was like, I'm not going to be there for the first camp out, the first day of the camp out. I came the second day. But I remember being at work and I looked at my phone and seeing them carrying Rewand. So I'm like, that's kind of crazy that I played a part in that indirectly. So definitely just kind of like that level of achievement. Like my lore title is very cool, but I would say just like the feelings I've gotten have been more important to me than the title itself. But
Well, that's good.
yeah,
Titles are important, but the sentiment and memories behind the titles.
yeah,
Like, when you got there.
correct. Yeah,
So, I'd like to thank you for joining us today on LARP Chats.
Yeah.
This has been Bale Norton with Darb. I'll catch you next time.